Good evening, everybody. It is September 1st, 2021, and Bitcoin gave us some nice action today. I posted right around here, 48K, when I saw it breaking out of this channel, that I was putting some of my cash back into Bitcoin at that point, and we are now about $1,500 higher than that. So that was certainly a good move. So basically what happened is this fifth wave here truncated a little bit. It did not come down all the way to touch the bottom of the trend line again. It decided that nominally lower low there was enough. And it gave us basically this double bottom that I was looking for. And like I said last night, we are in the bounce zone. And you can see with the action today and overnight last night, that was indeed the case. That was the bounce zone. I was hoping for one little lower low there to touch the bottom of this trend line. Didn't happen, but that's all right. So in the meantime, with the price action today, we are getting a better impulsive move here than we did off of these lows. This low here was so choppy, did not really give us a good impulsive move, which is one reason I expected the rejection down to that zone again to try it again. And we are now looking at a much better impulsive move here. Let me just make sure this is got my magnet on here. Okay, so oops, what's going on? Sorry, there we go. There's the fib. All right. So here's our fib extension, wave 1 and wave 2, right there. So third wave should have spiked into this box, and we saw that spike happen right there, so that's beautiful. Fourth wave should have held this box, and that came down a bit low, so that's not as beautiful. But I think because of this move right here, I really don't see that as being 5 waves. I think what we might actually have is that this is actually the third up here, and we may then have a fourth wave that is higher than expected based on this. So let me try to go down under the 15 and see if this is doing diagonal motion or if we can call this a full impulse. Let's see if I go down really low time frame here. Change this color so I can see it. I want to see where this struck here. That was a little shallow. And that went up for a good place for the fifth. This did come down to overlap. So this wave 1 is diagonal. So even though this looked potentially like an impulsive move, it is probably doing something more like a diagonal here as well, which means it's just not going to follow the rules quite as nicely. But I think I can probably get some decent support zones in here regardless of that. So I'm going to assume that's 3 there, and we're going to drag this red box up. So that went up 2 fibs, basically had an extended third. And so we need to take this box and move it up 1 and 2 fibs as well. So this should be our support zone now, which actually makes a heck of a lot of sense with where this resistance was before as well. So if we come down and touch this box, it should act as support, and then we should get a higher high here, move that up 2 fibs, and the target for this fifth wave becomes somewhere between 50.3 and 50.5. Now this is not, like I said, this is not looking completely impulsive. It really does kind of look more like a diagonal sort of deal here, but it's not looking bad. And I think, I mean, honestly, this could just continue grinding higher. That's certainly possible in Bitcoin as well. We did break this high here, So really the next step is going to be breaking out over this high, which is right around where I expect this fifth wave target to go. So it wouldn't be a shock to see a pullback after that point like you would normally expect. After hitting that high, maybe a little pullback and a buy-in, somewhere slightly lower. Maybe it just goes to these highs. I'm not sure, but I believe the moral of the story here is that Bitcoin is ready to run again. This to me looks like it can certainly be a completion of the correction here, which we've been waiting for since we topped out in 5 here. And I think I can probably safely take off this red alternative now. I'm going to take off that. Okay, so we did have 3 here, 4 there, and then we had sort of a weird move up into 5, but this was probably 5 here. Let me go over to the other count I was looking at and see if this makes sense with this. This doesn't particularly make sense anymore. So if you remember from a few videos back, I was looking, the question is this 1 and this 2, or are we just counting this as a double bottom and we really started off 1 and 2 here? So I am going to continue to assume that this is the correct count. And that's important for some targets going forward. So let's see now. I'm going to try to clean some of this stuff up here. Let me get rid of this micro fib. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of that channel. I'm going to make these significantly smaller. All right, we'll keep the support zone there. Get rid of that line. Get rid of some of these lines. Get rid of this and get rid of this yellow fib. All right. So basically, I'm proposing that we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, and 5 in our first wave. I'm then proposing that we have a very, very shallow wave 2 here, and I said that that is certainly a possibility based on all the way back at the beginning of this bull run off the COVID lows. We had a very, very shallow pullback as well. So Elliott wave being fractal, we can certainly see that happen. So that being the case, let me draw the fib extension here, and this assumes that we are already done, obviously. Whoops. This assumes that we're already done correcting, and I think that is the correct assumption, but of course we can see something crazy happen, and it could prove that it's not actually done correcting and we get a lower low or something, but we'll deal with that when it comes. But for the moment, primary expectation is certainly that we are already done. So, man, this fib is frustrating me with the magnet, sorry. All right, so there would be the top of 5. And then 2 basically did a double bottom, so we're going to call that the bottom of 2 there. Okay, and I can't really count that as a 1 and 2. I mean, it did go, it is technically a higher low, but I think it's better just to start off from there. So what we should see now based on this is we potentially have a very high extension here. It may actually extend further than this initial box I was thinking of, unless I'm wrong and this is not the 1 and this is not the 2. So I guess I have to keep both possibilities on the chart still, and we'll just see which one sort of ends up playing out more correctly. So for the moment though, we would expect to see one of two things happen for this first wave within the next wave up. We'll either see it go to the 382 and then come down to the 236 for a micro 1-2. So that would be about 57.2 down to 52.7. Or we can see this first wave go all the way to the 618 at about 65.4, and then down to about 60 or 57.2, something like that, 618 to 382 as a 1 and 2 for this move. So I'm not sure which one of those we're going to get at this point, but for me, basically at this point, we just want to be exposed to Bitcoin. I have only about 20% of my cash left, I believe, and I'll be looking to put that into some opportunities here in the very near future. Because no matter what from here, I think we're going higher. Obviously, we have to break that high first, but I do believe the correction is over at this point, unless we can't break that high and we dump down below this low. So we can use this low, 46,250, as stop loss for anything that we get into here. We really don't want to see it drop below that. If it did drop below that, it means we're still correcting. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get a deeper drop, but it means it's still correcting. And we'll have to kind of figure out where it's going from there. But so yeah, based on this, we if it wants to do an impulse, it actually projects all the way up to 125 to 140 for an impulsive move. I think more likely, because of how choppy we've been, and we started this off with a diagonal, I think more likely we get a diagonal move up. So expect some kind of ridiculous chop here within this. So we may very well see something like a big move up, maybe into the 70Ks, and then like a dump down, and then a big move up, and then a dump down, and then a big move up to finish it off. And it might form one of these ending diagonals like this. It could form an ending diagonal where the waves get tighter and do like a rising wedge sort of deal. But I am anticipating we're probably going to be looking at quite a bit of volatility here. So spot buys in this area, spot buys if it comes down, are definitely the safest. It's going to be really tricky, I think, to play with leverage going forward, unless you want to leverage long here with a stop below 46.25, and then just hold on to it no matter what the chop is going up. And diagonals typically end between the 1382 and the 1618. So that would put us right here at the top of the red box that I'm expecting from the higher time frame chart anyway. So we could certainly see that happen too, but let's just keep an eye on this, and if it looks like we're going to get a better impulsive move up, then we can start thinking about those higher targets. But for the moment, I am kind of expecting a choppy diagonal move upwards. That does not mean that you don't want to be exposed to Bitcoin, though. I think very, very definitely you do. So all right, let me go down real quick here. So I think at this point in time, I'm going to suggest putting buys here, right around that 49K area for this next move up. So we'll grab a little bit here, and then if this does play out, we should see a retracement then from wherever that tops, and maybe it goes really shallow, maybe it goes really deep. It's impossible to say, really. But once this tops out, we can potentially look to buy in maybe a little bit deeper. Ideally, this is the zone then, somewhere in here for a pullback. After the initial 5 waves complete, we should see pull back to at least 382 to 618. So we might get 48K again. Maybe it goes a little deeper, tries to shake people out. It could come down as far as 47, 46. But really, at this point, any pullback is a buying opportunity with a stop below 46.25. So that's going to be the plan going forward. Look for pullbacks, get ready with your spot buys, even leverage if you want to, but stop out under 46,250, because that would invalidate this whole thing, and we're still going to be in some sort of annoying correction at that point. All right, I think that's all I have for Bitcoin. Good night, everybody, and we'll see what the action brings overnight.